I still remember the sound of her heels fading down the airport corridor. Click, click, click. Each step was a sentence. Each echo a reminder that I was 15, forgotten, and standing beside a suitcase too big for a boy who just learned what abandonment feels like. She didn't even turn around, just tossed her hair, laughed at something her new husband said, and disappeared into the first-class lounge with his perfect little family. Before leaving, she looked at me and said, "You'll figure it out." I did. For years, I'd believed she loved me, or at least the version of me that fit her image, the polite, quiet son who smiled in family photos while her new husband played pretend father. But that day, that was the day I stopped being her son and started being something else. I stood there at gate 42, surrounded by strangers, holding a one-way ticket to nowhere. My hands shook, not from fear, but from clarity. If she could discard me that easily, then she'd never deserved to raise me in the first place. So I pulled out the number I'd sworn never to dial, my father's. The man she'd made me hate. The man she'd said abandoned us. He answered on the first ring. "Jack?" His voice cracked. And that was all it took. One word, one tone. I could hear the years he'd lost trying to find me through her lies. 6 hours later, a private jet landed at that same airport. The door opened and he stepped out. Older, sharper, successful in a way she always envied. He didn't ask questions, didn't lecture, he just said, "Let's go home." And that was the beginning of everything. For 3 years I built myself in silence. Private school, university abroad, law internships. Every move was a step toward control, the kind she thought I'd never have. While she traveled the world posting pictures with her perfect new family, I studied her patterns, her spending, her habits, her weaknesses. She'd always been careless with money, emotional spender, impulsive buyer. I found the shell companies her husband used to hide their assets. I traced them, one by one. By 19, I knew more about her financial life than she did. By 20, I owned the company that managed her husband's investments, quietly, under an alias. By 21, I was her shadow. She came home one summer, her tone colder than the marble floors she used to love showing off. My room, the one she left empty that day, was exactly as she abandoned it, except for one thing, the letter waiting on the bed. When she opened it, she must have felt the same chill I did that day at the airport. It wasn't a letter, really. It was a notice, a legal one. Her husband's accounts were frozen, her assets seized under investigation. The house she'd bragged about online? Under my father's legal claim, marital fraud, hidden funds, false declarations. She'd married into wealth to escape consequence, but she'd built it all on lies. And I'd just pulled the first thread. She called me that night. Her voice trembled. The same woman who'd once told me to man up. "Jack, what did you do?" I smiled into the silence. I figured it out. Click. The next morning, I went back to that same airport, gate 42. It looked smaller now. Maybe because I wasn't that boy anymore. Maybe because I'd finally closed the loop. She arrived hours later, wearing sunglasses to hide the cracks in her composure. I didn't wait for her to speak. "You left me here once," I said, calm, almost kind, "to chase a better life." She blinked. "You don't understand." "No, you don't." I handed her another envelope, her divorce papers. Her husband had turned on her. The moment his accounts froze, he chose self-preservation over loyalty. He'd signed everything over to save himself. And she was left with nothing but her name, a name that meant nothing now. She stared at me, eyes wet, whispering, "You've become cruel." I leaned in just enough for her to hear me clearly. "No, Mother, you made me efficient." When I walked away, I didn't look back. No applause, no satisfaction, just quiet. The kind that follows after justice finally lands. That night, my father poured 2 glasses of wine. "To letting go," he said. I nodded. Because revenge isn't rage. It's patience wearing a tailored suit. It's a boy abandoned at an airport learning to fly on his own. And when the time came to land, I made sure she felt the turbulence first.